let's start the show, shall we? Yes,
Let's start the show. Let's start the show.
Welcome back to First Watch Rewatch, the podcast where one of us is seeing it for the first time.
And the other one is not.
You poop face. I'm Sarah, this time on the Rewatch.
And I'm Tom, the alleged poop face, watching The Good Wife for the first time.
Today we are covering season 1, episodes 16, 17, and 18 called Fleas, Heart, and Doubt. Let's get into it, shall we? And say that like 15 times. So, excited to get into these 3 episodes because there's a lot of carryover from our last.
Oh, pun intended. Okay.
Yeah, I'm very excited to go over these episodes with you. So, first episode number 16, is called Fleas, and it was directed by Rosemary Rodriguez, written by Amanda Siegel, and air date of March 9th, 2010. Here is our little summary. Alicia and Will defend an attorney, so it's a DA actually, who's arrested for murder because he allegedly... Yes. Yes.
He's in his own private firm.
No.
Yeah? He's representing the drug lord. He's not a district attorney. You might want to check that one again, because that's not the case, but okay.
Pretty sure he is a district attorney. His client is a drug lord.
How can you have a client if you're the district attorney? Your client is therefore the state.
Just saying that he is, I believe, had also been a district attorney. Did I not say that?
No,
I think he was a former
I'm still
district
confused.
attorney. Anyway, he's an attorney who's arrested for murder because he allegedly leaked a witness list to his client, a drug lord, which resulted in the murder of the star witness. Peter is home, but he's now under house arrest, and he strategizes about how to handle his retrial. This sentence doesn't make sense. He strategizes about how to handle his retrial and the next steps in his public rehabilitation. I'm going to punch this person who wrote this one. Okay, so we have guest judge Anna Gasteyer showing up. And
As a
then
federal district court judge.
Yes.
Who have different rules and different mandates.
Yes. And then we have basically the arrival of Lamond Bishop, who is this drug lord. He's going to be around for a while. So this is his first appearance. Yeah, he's here for a time. We don't necessarily know it at the end of this episode, but yeah, I'm telling you, he's going to be around in the future. And then we have, is this?
Yeah, Mike Coulter is the drug kingpin. He's now on some other CBS show where he's like the lead, but he also played Luke Cage in the Netflix series, and which I really enjoyed. So I'm always glad to see him, even if he is a smiling and rather creative and ingenious drug kingpin.
Yes. He's very smooth, basically. This is a pretty interesting role for him. I believe that this is this a Twitter episode? Okay. And so Eli Gold's character, so that's Alan Cumming, this episode actually earned him an Emmy nomination.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I guess based on the conversation he has with the girl, I could see it. That makes sense.
That's basically it.
I find the Twitter thing to be weird because, again, and we focused on this on the last episode, our last episode, not on The Good Wife's last episode. that the kids don't seem like they've been given a ton to do. And so to just seemingly come out of nowhere with the girlfriend popping up again feels a little odd. Like she's somehow a big player, but she's not a big player, and I don't know. But Alan Cumming does a very good job here. I enjoyed that he made, I guess he didn't make the little girl cry, but he made the Regina George of this show cry,
Yeah.
metaphorically.
Yeah. Well, and he uses some really great references to horror movies throughout.
Which I clearly missed.
So there's this Twitter thing going on where there's this person on Twitter who is tweeting horrible things about Alicia, and Eli Gold is worried about it because it could essentially affect Peter's reelection. So they are trying to figure out who is sending out these tweets. Now we have to remember this is a while ago,
2010.
Right. So this
Back
is a while
when
ago.
Twitter is first a thing.
Correct. And so one of the reasons this feels maybe more like prescient for now, but at the time it was like, what in the heck is this? Because Twitter more or less there was like
Twitter a lot more readily at that time than they do now. I think if this were right now, nobody would give that any credentials whatsoever. It would feel like it's a Russian bot or something else because it's a celebrity in the news.
Sure.
At the time, it's much more important.
Right. And so at the time, you have this sort of growing influence and popularity of, they were referring to it back then as the blogosphere. You wouldn't have called it social media, really. But the blogosphere, all of this stuff that's being talked about online and how it could affect public opinion, basically. So at the time, this is like a huge, big... Go ahead. Huge, big deal.
Well, you had mentioned that they don't call it social media yet. And my thought is I wonder if we started using that term colloquially about the time that The Social Network comes out, which is a few months from this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's entirely possible because the concept of social media, like, it feels like a really recent phrase to me. Even though I've been on, holy crud, I've been on Facebook at this time, like
20 years for me.
20 years. Yes, it's literally been 20 years for me. I got on it right when it was made available outside of universities. And so it's weird to think that I was on the cutting edge with like that platform, and it still exists. We kind of were like, who knows if this is gonna last, and probably it'll last, who knows, for quite a while. But of course, we also heavily use Instagram, which is owned by Facebook still. So the time that this is coming out, this is just, it's a different world. You're right. It probably wouldn't be taken as seriously. But here's also the thing. Let's take out Twitter and put in like TikTok, for example. The number of young people who fully believe anything that they see on TikTok or Instagram Reels or whatever, they take it very seriously. Twitter just happens to be what they're using in this episode because that's what was at the forefront. It was the only platform of its kind at the time. And really one of the only ways that people could get out their thoughts in a more or less anonymous way, but also have a big reach. And this is when people are like, oh, I can actually tune into the news because I'm going to get quicker updates on Twitter in real life scenarios than I would waiting for it to come out on the 5 o'clock news, right? So you would have people abroad who are tweeting about international incidents and things like that. So anyway, there's this big concern. So there's this person who's tweeting all of these horrible, horrible things about Alicia, and they're trying to figure out...
Are they really that horrible about her, though?
That's... They call her Saint Alicia, that she's sleeping with her boss, they're saying that she's sleeping with Will,
I guess.
all of those types of things, right? And that she's...
I was thinking more of the separate beds kind of thing.
Right, well, and so that's gonna tarnish Peter's public image, right? But then also she's cheating on him, all of this stuff. So they are figuring out where it's coming from, and they figure out that the IP address it's coming from inside the house is what Eli Gold's character says, which is a reference to, and he says this, have you ever seen When a Stranger Calls? And Alicia's like, no. And he says, well, the call is coming from inside the house, which is a horror movie where a babysitter is being harassed, phone calls, and I think is it
Scream?
Oh, no. Yes, that's a reference to Scream references it, but I'm trying to think the woman who is in it. She plays Miracle Max's wife. What's her name?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's gonna kill me. I gotta look it up. Hang on.
Well, I will try and filibuster for you while you're looking it up then, and say that I believe my Twitter account goes back to, my personal one, goes back to like 2011, because I think that's roughly when I started. I had one before my current personal account, and so I want to say like when it was still 140 characters was when I first signed up. That being said, things had not turned yet where the internet and social media are seen or perceived as a negative, and we're 6 years away from a lot of negative attention being actually a good thing for a political campaign. Mind you, the P-tape was 2016, which still nobody's seen. I don't know how that hasn't gotten out there somewhere.
Well,
but it's Hollywood access.
But this is also the age where people could have sex tapes and they would catapult them into stardom, right? This is
about Kim Kardashian's right about here.
Right, and Kim Kardashian releases a sex tape because her BFF, who she was an assistant for, Paris Hilton, had a sex tape. And so it's all... Anyway, so When a Stranger Calls stars Carol Kane in 1979. So she's a teenager, and she's babysitting, and she's getting all of these horrible phone calls that are threatening the kids that she's babysitting. And then she calls the police. The police are like, the calls are coming from inside the house. So that phrase is from this horror movie, which is now a horror trope or a phrase that it's become a meme. So Eli Gold says, have you seen this movie? The calls are coming from inside the house. So the tweets are tweeting out from Alicia's apartment. She asks her kids, what's going on? Are you tweeting this stuff? And they're like, we don't know what that means. And it turns out that it is Zach's stupid, slutty girlfriend. And
again, Regina George makes the most sense. Like, I don't remember the character's name in The Good Wife here, but she's basically that. I'm going to date the it boy right now because I want access to be close to the celebrity family because it might help my branding or whatever else. And
right.
I got no time for that bullshit.
Right. And so Eli Gold goes and visits her at school and is like, you need to knock this off. And she thinks that she's got one over on him, and she's got that smarmy little slutty look on her face, like, I'm gonna eat you alive, and screams to get the police to come over. And the police is like, oh, hi, Mr. Gold. And she realizes that she's been had. And then he just like lays into her and basically says that her life is worthless and that she is going to get pregnant at 17 and have an abortion at 18, and her life is going to be terrible. And he says,
I know we're not at that episode yet, but the whole pregnancy thing and threat or whatever else takes on a different meaning the following episode.
Yes, it does. And so then he says to her, he's like, if you ever tweet again, I'm going to come after you. And he says, have you seen, to her, Drag Me to Hell? And she says, yes. Now, Drag Me to Hell is a horror movie that had literally just come out a year before. So it was a totally like in the moment reference. Absolutely. And it is about a woman who basically doesn't renew an elderly woman's like mortgage. And so the old lady puts a curse on her, and she is dragged to hell. So it's again a horror movie reference, which is just really perfect, and so it kind of is able to paint Eli Gold's character as, yes, he's not swearing as much, but he's making pop culture references that you wouldn't necessarily expect someone in his position to make, let alone threatening a little teenage girl. And it's just really good. And that scene is why he gets a Emmy nomination.
And now is just hosting a reality television show on Peacock.
Right. But he's so good at it. I love The Traitors because he's in it. So we have let's see here. There's lots of other things going on. I'm
pretty sure that this is his Spy Kids era, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. What are some of your first impression reactions to this? I have so many notes, but I'll want to get your thoughts on it.
Well, we've already gotten several of mine. I hate the girlfriend.
Right.
Basically, the kids could go away and I'd be okay with all of it. Peter is back, but he's in the separate bedroom. It's awkward. But you get to see him around the family. It's a nice moment when he can hug his kids. Jackie takes less of an importance. Yay! I don't understand the A story. It feels like it's slightly important, but it also doesn't. Like, everything that's going on with Peter and with Eli Gold and the Twitter stuff seems somehow more important, weirdly,
than the murder thing.
Yeah, because they kind of just brush right through that. Yeah, well, we're representing a lawyer, but
now, and
that being said,
okay,
the guy who plays the FBI agent, the black guy, I don't know
the AUSA, Rivers.
Is that what? Yeah, Rivers.
He's the assistant United States attorney. I had to write down what that job is. They're basically representing the U.S. government in criminal prosecutions.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's usually a regional AUSA.
Right.
In charge of a very specific type of office and whatever.
Right.
Because I have to deal with a bunch of them, but for different matters. Anyway, my point being that he is an FBI agent in white collar. I bet. I don't know why I was thinking blue for some reason. He's an FBI agent in white collar. He's like one of the assistants or one of the guys that's constantly involved in that show. He's very likable in that. He is not likable in this. And I have a feeling he will come back around at some point, because we have yet to really visit the federal court system all that much, especially the federal criminal court system.
Right.
But I feel like he and Anna Gasteyer will make reappearances at some point, but it's going to be more selective. They're going to really wait for those moments. The stuff about, in my opinion, is recklessly stupid, but that's also incredibly accurate to how federal judges operate. They are the biggest sticklers about the stupidest shit, and they can get away with it because they have basically lifetime appointments. And so that's why a federal judge, when they say hello, is usually them yelling at you. Because they have no repercussion. There is nothing to push back on them. They only answer to a higher court, theoretically, or the United States Senate. And good luck getting the Judiciary Committee to reprimand a sitting district court judge for anything. So they're really only upheld by their own standards and codes, meaning they have ultimate authority and power to do whatever they'd like. And so if they tell you to constantly say, in my opinion, you have to fucking do it. And for Will not to know that, or to like be petulant and whatever else, kind of stupid. But when he comes back at her and he accurately says, I need you to make a ruling on my motion, and he goes toe-to-toe with her. That is some of the most Dana shit I've ever seen in this show. And I loved every fucking second of it. And it moved Will back up my rankings from last episode.
Okay, good. Well, and I think that's kind of him pushing back, yes, is dangerous, but I think it's also choosing Anna Gasteyer as the guest star in that judge role where it looks ridiculous. She looks ridiculous. The regular person isn't necessarily going to know that that's accurate. They're going to be like, this is a comedian playing this role. They're being silly and stupid. I think that choice is interesting because I think it influences probably an audience. And it did for me the first time, going, oh, well, she's a comedian. Like, this is kind of supposed to be a little bit funny. And I didn't necessarily take it seriously in the way that I could have, because I was immediately on Will's side. It seemed like she was playing favorites with the AUSA and all of that type of stuff, especially because when they find out that he's been sleeping, the AUSA has been sleeping with the murder victim, and he's like, that's not going to influence my ability to try this case or whatever. And she's like, I can't really kick you out, but I'm going to concede on this other issue, blah, 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 blah. And then, of course, you have at the end, the bodyguard takes the fall for the whole thing. And
yeah, the whole
weird
wrap up on that after the reveal that the daughter was the one that was really the one that was supposed to be in trouble, and he doesn't want to reveal that. So we're going to take the hit with the bodyguard for the drug lord. It felt like it was such a whitewashed thing that they slapped together, didn't know how to conclude it, and wrote themselves into a corner. And so now it's somewhat of a forgettable episode otherwise.
Yeah. I mean, you just basically have the introduction of Lamont Bishop, and then you have Eli Gold taking out a teenager. And that's pretty... Oh, well, I guess you also have this scene with Alicia and Peter and the condoms that he finds in her drawer. And
is that this episode? I thought it was I guess it is this episode.
The discovery of the condoms is this episode. And he's like,
that's right.
Why?
It is during the Twitter thing when the accusation of...
Correct. And so he's like, why do you have condoms? You have an IUD. And she's like, I had it taken out. And he was like, but why would you need condoms? And she's just like, the implication, right, being, oh, well, to have sex with you, but I'm not ready to have sex with you yet. And he's like, he basically saying, I don't trust you. And she's like, you have to trust me. He's like, then don't go to work, because he does not want her to be alone with Will. And she literally takes the condoms and puts it in her purse and walks out because she's going to go back to work. And she's basically like telling him, F off. Now we find some other things about the condoms next episode, but yeah, she's basically like, screw you, Peter. He says to her, what do you want me to say? I will never touch another woman ever again. But we just found out within the last few episodes, right, that he, at least with this one prostitute, saw her 18 different times, right? So how long was it? Just, I don't like him. Peter's a jerk.
Well, he's going to die anyway. So it's like the horror
I mean, that's what you think. So, any other thoughts on this episode before we move on?
Zach going back for the condoms?
Nope, not this
feels
episode.
Like it...
Not this episode.
Okay, well, whatever. So I guess I'm moving on to the next episode. Zach going back for the condoms feels like it's supposed to be significant, and it's really like, okay, we've now given some stakes to a character that I really don't care for, so whatever.
The implication is those are his condoms that he has hidden in that drawer. Alicia covers for him by saying they are hers and tries to justify it. She takes them because she goes to work with them. He goes and looks for it because it's the next episode.
I say this as a teenage boy. That is not how I read this scene. I think they are hers. I think they were in the drawer. I think he knows where to find them because let's face it, as a teenage boy, I did the same thing.
Setup is that Alicia's covering for him.
I know it was led to think. I'm saying that is not how I looked at that scene.
Okay, right. So the idea is that, again, that Alicia's covering for Zach, and she has an unstated thing that she's protecting him from. But it does play into, essentially, Eli Gold saying that what's her name is going to get pregnant, and Zach is like, we're going to go have sex, and he can't get condoms, and he still goes off with her to be an idiot. All right, so let's dive into the next episode. This is Heart, episode 17, and it is directed by Felix Alcala, written by Corinne Brinkerhoff. Original air date of March 16th, 2010. So, an emergency courtroom is set up in a hospital conference room. Will represents Kate Willoughby, whose unborn child requires an in utero surgical intervention on its heart. Life State, Kate's insurance provider, has blocked the surgery 2 days before it's scheduled because they don't cover experimental procedures. Alicia's firm is bringing a class action lawsuit against Life State, and the Willoughby case would set a precedent for the 68 other cases in which Life State denied coverage. Life State's lawyer offers Will a deal, drop the class action suit, and they'll find the money to save the baby, but Will refuses. The Life State's lawyer is Martha Plimpton back, and her baby has been born. Let's see. When it looks like the case's outcome will be in favor of Kate, Life State's defense claims that Kate's husband inaccurately filled out their application for coverage, and thus the contract for insurance is void. With Kalinda's help, Will gets leverage on Life State's unethical practices. Rather than having the information become public, a settlement is reached and the baby's surgery is a success. On the personal front, Peter continues to repair his reputation through religion. And then, while at the office, Alicia and Will share a kiss, which leads to Alicia sleeping with Peter.
First off.
Yes.
This is meant to be a super emotional episode.
Mm-hmm.
Did not really lead to much of that for me.
Okay.
The deal that is on the table that is discussed in your summary there, which is actually somebody else's summary from Wikipedia, is an illegal deal.
Okay.
They can't offer that because Will can't take that to his client. First off, most of the time, you don't have a class action lawsuit lined up where you have one test case and then you'll go on to the other ones. Yes, you may be kind of playing them in the background, and you may take one to see if you have something for further development, but usually you don't have a file of class action until you already have the test case done. So they're going to only give an offer based on this case. 2, the reason it's not a legal offer is because that offer is for Will and Will only, not for the client. The client, of course, is going to say yes. Save my child, fuck everybody else. But that's not the point. So he can't take that to a client, and by not being able to take it to a client, he has violated the ethics code.
Okay.
So she offers him something that he can't take to a client, that puts him in an ethical bind because she's being unethical to begin with. Not to mention, you can't do that kind of quid pro quo. It's directly forbidden. So yet again, another example where we just throw out the ethics rules so that we can have better entertaining TV.
Yes. Okay, tell us how you really feel. So
insurance companies are the devil, and anytime that I can take them to the cleaners, I feel so much better for it. Banks, insurance companies, government bureaucracy, that's why I want to be a lawyer, is to fuck all of them over repeatedly with a spiky dildo.
Okay. So, but it is supposed to be this emotional thing where we see Martha Plimpton's character literally brings her baby into the meetings.
She is a great actor in the, like, this is nothing against her, but the prop wielding of the baby
Yeah,
is
it's great.
so unbecoming. Ugh.
Well, but we're not, I think the thing is, we're not supposed to like her, right? I mean, that's the whole point.
I
right?
understand. It did
And
exactly what it was supposed to do. But also, using a prop like that, there's no judge that would have allowed that to continue.
Sure. And of course, we recognize this judge. We've seen him before. And her character is just so manipulative and vile. And she's talking about, oh, I understand why you want to save your baby, but weren't you advocating for abortions? And how dare was really intense.
Well, and so that is actually something that a lawyer would do. Like,
sure,
I'll defend her on that one.
Sure. And then but because it's supposed to be so emotionally weighty and grappling with life and death and abortion and kids and whatever it is, right? That sets up Will being emotional.
Yes.
When they can't do this, the kid still gets saved at the end, but
there's a lot of 5 o'clock shadow Will in the last few episodes.
Right. So he is talking to Alicia. He's upset. She comforts him, and then he kisses her. And then there's some shenanigans after that. And the kiss happens basically in the middle of the episode. It is not at the end. So what did you think of them finally having a kiss?
It was followed immediately by the perfunctory, well, we shouldn't. But then I'm going to re-return, but no, I'm not. And then I feel guilty, so I'm going to have sex with this other guy. Well, I guess in this case, Peter.
Her husband.
Yeah. But also, we're going to talk about this in a week. And then we don't really talk about it. And it just kind of keeps festering under the surface. And it's just the normal TV thing where we're dragging it on way too long.
You just want them to do it.
Yeah. And then see what the repercussions are. This is one of the things that I don't care about with certain rom-coms. Like, they will tease a plot line for fucking forever between a romantic situation. I know I didn't make it far enough into Friends to really care about Ross and Rachel, but it's this Ross and Rachel effect, the will they, won't they crap that no, it's not for me.
Friends is a waste of time, but that's just me.
It's not just you.
So,
I'm publicly against that show as well.
Okay, but even if you're frustrated that they aren't just getting to it, and I, of course, like the tease, and this is the type of stuff that I always like watching.
Annoyed than frustrated.
You're annoyed because
it's a tediance as opposed to something that, like, I equate frustration with boiling or like escalating anger. Like,
okay,
my frustration runneth over, and that's when I blow my stack, metaphorically. Whereas my annoyance with this is just like the writing taking its sweet fucking time.
Sure, but then as you're suggesting that the word frustration can only be used with anger, can't you be sexually frustrated? I mean, isn't that the whole point? Right? Like, it's not happening in the way that
usually that you're not just frustrated, you're sexually frustrated. That's putting that other quantifier there with it.
Correct. And Alicia's clearly sexually frustrated since she tries to come back to talk to him, and it seems pretty clear that she like wants to take it to the next step, right? But then they miss each other because he's not there waiting for her. So she's like, uh-oh, she regrets it and leaves and goes home and has sex with her husband out of guilt or sexual frustration or whatever. And then Will obviously finds out that she's all of the above, finds out that she came back and that's why he starts calling her, right?
Sure.
And they finally have this phone call. Well, she
That the
keeps hanging
daughter
up on him,
overhears,
that the daughter
and
overhears,
yeah,
and we hear that, like, basically Alicia chose Peter over Will in college, and they
but
didn't quite.
don't forget a important part of this episode too. Will comes hat in hand to the apartment and asks
Later.
Peter for a favor that he completes, and then Peter gives him a stamp of approval.
Yeah,
So
it's
we're now
great.
creating this weird triangle between them.
Yeah, it's great among them. Yes. Yeah, I like it. I mean, so he basically says we have bad timing. We've always had bad timing. It's clear, like, at now the feelings are out there in front. Like, we get that Alicia's, like, actually interested. Will's actually interested. They can't do it because she's married. They could have had a thing before. She does say it's only romantic because it didn't happen. But I
Which
don't know.
there is some level of truth to that.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Um, is this as fun as CJ and what's his face smooching in the West Wing? No. Is it still smooching? Yes. Did I still like it? Yes.
The fact that she feels guilty and that there are all these other barriers mean that they will not end up together.
Okay, explain why.
They may end up being together for a period of time, but they don't end up together.
Why do you say that?
Because that's not how most of this writing is. If she waits until such time as all of the peripheral crap with Peter gets resolved, and then she tries to start some sort of relationship, but the fact that they've already kind of like confessed this in the middle of it, there's no way. She won't know what to do with her feelings yet of guilt, anger, regret, everything else that has to do with Peter, and he's not going to stick around and just completely wait until she figures that out. So the timing is poor, and eventually she can't give him a straight answer. He's going to say, I can't continue like this, and he'll move on because that's what people do. So even if he does wait around and she does resolve it for a time, because it starts in the middle of when she's still in a complicated period as opposed to starting anything new, and the fact that they've somewhat been together before, but it didn't work out, there's no way they end up together. She can't create something new that's completely outside of the bounds of where she is right now without starting something new with somebody she either hasn't been with before or has a history. Period.
Okay. Okay.
That's if the writing is at all accurate to real life.
Okay. I can't say anything one way or the other on
That's fine.
this. You'll just
I'm
have
okay with
to
that.
you'll just have to wait and find out. But at least it's a step in the right direction for what you wanted, right?
It's getting closer.
It's getting closer. You just want them to actually just do it. Okay, I get it. Get to the sex.
Yeah.
Got it. Um any other thoughts on this episode?
The notion that they're looking for underhanded ways to cancel policies when stuff happened, this is so prior to the ACA level insurance shenanigans that
Okay.
pisses me off. And I still think that a lot of this stuff probably goes on. Yes, she finds it in a technicality, but I feel for the family and for the child and all the other surrounding associated people. But also, what the fuck is Kalinda doing just like as a complete MacGuffin, cloning somebody's phone, cloning opposing counsel's phone? Not to mention, she reveals this to Will, who is required to disclose that. Yeah. This entire show, from episode to episode, like, they're ethical, they're not ethical. They're ethical, they're not ethical. Like, pick a lane. Pick a fucking lane. There's stuff where you skirt the rules, and then there's ones where you blow right through the fucking barrier. I feel
So
like I'm
you didn't.
swearing a lot tonight.
You are. It's
Yeah.
because you're sexually frustrated with Will and Alicia. So.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Let's move on to the last episode. And this is episode 18, called Doubt, directed by Felix Alcala, written by Robert King and Michelle King and Barry Schlocknick. Original air date is April. Thanks. Original air date is April 6, 2010. So this is another 12 Angry Men episode.
I thought it was brilliant. The formatting of completely reversing it, where it's a case within a case, and playing with the structure and having the jury be a part of the deliberation and the rest of it. Because it's not 12 Angry Men, it's not one person representing, but they're going through individual pieces of evidence. And then to end on that note where they had all voted not guilty, I thought was a very interesting stroke, because that is what real life is you don't know what's going to be at the end of the jury trial, and you're taking a complete gamble on 12 strangers, not knowing what the outcome is going to be, where she'll take 10 years, and it's kind of a ridiculous or a fantastical situation where a complete accident ends up with her in jail for 10 years. But that's the unfortunate nature of the legal system. That being said, Gary Cole.
What did you say? Gary Cole? Oh, Gary Cole. Okay, right. So let me get through the summary. So Alicia and Will defend a college student accused of killing her roommate while under the influence of a sleep aid, and also at the end of a threesome. Okay, as they defend their client, Will and Alicia must deal with the tension that has existed between them since the night of their kiss. Meanwhile, Diane continues her flirtatious relationship with conservative ballistics expert Kurt McVeigh, Gary Cole. So you take the wheel on that. Where do you want to go? You did already just talk about the trial thing, but you said Gary Cole, so talk about
all right
him and Diane.
I'll make one last point, and I may be wrong on this, but I'm going to put it out anyway. I think that the fact that Diane has the relationship with the ballistics expert, and the fact that they put two different ballistics experts on the stand who have wildly different interpretations, I think the defendants got a very reasonable case for ineffective assistance of counsel on appeal. And so you would go to the verdict, because even though you may waste some time, your appeal, one, the outcome is I'm either not guilty, or two, I'm guilty, but my appeal will be upheld. And so then I get a retrial where they may not retry me.
Okay, yeah.
Because it might be too expensive. And there's a whole lot of extra doubt. So the fact that she doesn't go to the mattresses, and I get that, but her lawyers, they botched that one up badly multiple times over.
Okay. Do you, is part of the reason that they botched that, could it be because Carrie's thinking with his penis the whole time?
Carrie is not the only one thinking with it, but yes.
Somebody else is thinking with Carrie's penis?
No. But everybody's got some tension.
Everybody. Yes.
Diane is the little giggly schoolgirl with the Marlboro Man, and Gary Cole is just, yeah. It is actually quite endearing that opposites attract, and she, yeah. So I do want to see where that ends up, and hopefully it goes
so
somewhere.
Cute, because they're flirting, and then she is showing up to watch him work and talk, and they clearly like each other, and then they say goodbye, and she's like, oh, but then he comes out and says, let's go to dinner, and she's like, okay. And like she giggles a lot, which I think is really, really cute. And then they go to dinner, And she says in the middle of it, I can't do this. You're too different. We're too different. You're too MAGA, whatever. She stands up and she kisses him and she walks away, and that looks like it's the end of it. And then we find out during the trial that they went to bed together, which is great. And then, of course, Will is really mad about it. But yeah, this is like the sexiest
Before you
sex
ever put him on
episode.
the stand, the fact that she's sitting in the audience, she needed to tell him that so he could prepare. Having that come out on the stand,
It's bad.
just stupid.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, this is a point where maybe Matan could have won a case against them.
He technically did win. He got a plea.
Oh God. Well, so, and it's funny because I was watching this and Dad was kind of like, why is the judge walking into chamber like to talk to the jury? And I was like, oh, because he's telling them that the defendant took a plea deal so that it doesn't matter what they come up with. But yes, and then they reveal that they basically had decided that she was not guilty, which she wasn't guilty to begin with. But Carrie looks like she's like, I'm gonna be in jail forever for 45 years. Would you come and visit me? He's like, oh, I would definitely come and visit you. And I'm like, Carrie, stop eye fucking her. Like, come on. She is a dumb, like, little 20-year-old girl who agreed to a threesome and got jealous and all that type of stuff. The whole thing is a kerfuffle of stuff.
And Clendon the cop, that's where we start this whole thing.
Yes. Okay, so Kalinda and the cop, and I can't remember his name. The jury notices
Clendon,
that
no. The cop with an earring and the leather jacket? Oh,
yeah.
Come on. I thought you were better than that.
Who looks like he's wearing guy liner all the time. He clearly has it for her. Like everybody, she has everyone wrapped around her finger.
Yeah.
So, yeah. They like each other, clearly. Or does it seem like she doesn't like anyone? Or does it seem like she likes this guy?
Play coy.
Okay.
I don't think it's a matter of like, but she doesn't want... There's some sort of trauma or damage there. Clearly.
Right. Okay. But
I think she's a broken individual that tries to go between people because she doesn't want a long-lasting connection because she's been hurt somewhere.
Sure. And the detective is dumb enough that when she literally walks in the room, he like smiles at her and like nods, and everybody notices it. But then the entire jury is like, we don't trust him, and they call him the detective with an earring. Right? Don't they? Just like you did, I think. So they're just like not impressed. We don't really have any new guests. It's the return of what's his face as the lawyer, or as the judge. I can't think of his name. And then one of the jurors, Marisol, she's played by Selena Slava, and she plays Gloria on Orange is the New Black. And when I saw Orange is the New Black, I was like, why does that woman look so familiar? And it's because of this this one episode of this show.
The woman in red with the weird hat is the mother of, oh, why am I drawing a blank on his name, from the OC that's on the Netflix show Nobody Wants This?
I don't know.
Well, that's another show you'd like.
The OC?
No. Nobody wants this.
Nobody wants this? Okay. Maybe I will check it out. We will
it's a little more topical. That being said, the boyfriend, whatever, is Tom Pelphrey, who's now in Task, opposite Mark Ruffalo on HBO. And he is also now the partner to other CBS regular / star, let's say, from The Big Bang Theory, Kaley Cuoco.
Okay.
Just throwing that in there. I've seen him in a bunch of stuff randomly. Like he was, what is that? Iron Fist, which was the last of the Netflix 4 Defender series from the Marvel TV universe that I know you don't watch those shows, so don't worry about it. I'm taking it from here for a second. But that was the one everybody hated, and yeah, so.
Okay. So out of these 3 cases, which one was the most interesting to you?
18, by far.
This last one.
Yeah.
Okay.
As much as I hate insurance companies, this one was the one from 18 from Doubt is the one that was structured the best. It focused on it the most, as singularly almost as anything else in the episode. The jury deliberations I thought was a brilliant creative turn for them to kind of flip this whole thing, but also not make it 12 Angry Men. Feel more like it was its own thing, but you're presenting a different perspective of the whole thing. So as far as case of the week type stuff, it's by far 18, because we already said 16 felt like they wrote themselves into a corner and couldn't figure out how to land the plane. Right. 17 has a whole bunch of legal inaccuracies. 18 I felt had the most stakes, was the most creative. It's not even close.
Okay. And then thinking about over the last 18 episodes, what still stands out for you in terms of cases that you're remembering?
The one with the weird Sabbath wire.
The Jewish one from like the first
that one was
set.
In there. Mm-hmm. The painkiller one with the quarterback, because I felt that was somewhat topical. The rape case from like episode 2.
Oh, where they arrest the guy.
Like the Duke lacrosse kind of situation where they literally say the whole frat boy thing, the bachelor party thing. Other than that, I'm sure if I gave it enough thought, but those are the 3 that immediately come to mind.
Right, but the whole point is what immediately comes to mind, not it's what's right there at forefront of your mind in terms of remembering things. So that's just all I wanted to check. So last episode, you had talked about how Gary Cole's character, Kurt McVeigh, skyrocketed to number 2 or 1 position. Then it was Eli Gold. Then so on and so forth. So what are your character rankings now?
By the way,
yes,
we have not discussed at all the whole weird pastor angle.
Oh, because okay. Do you want to go over that? Is that this episode or the previous one?
It's both.
Yeah, okay.
It's 17 and 18. It's more 17 because the whole setup of him praying and whatever else is precursor to Alicia coming into his room.
Right.
But it's more political stunt work, which again also doesn't exactly make a ton of sense, given that he's running while under house arrest.
Right.
So he literally can't go out and give a stump speech. He can't go to an event and shake hands. He can't meet with potential donors. I don't understand exactly what's going on, but somehow we're going to make some joint address where he can't even leave the house with this black pastor. Okay. So, yeah, you weren't on mute for that. Yeah, you took it off too soon.
I think I literally accidentally hit it as I was sneezing. Sorry, everyone. Okay.
I'll take it out.
Perfect. But I don't believe you. But go ahead.
The whole staging of the black pastor thing, I don't know, it felt weird. It felt unnecessary. It felt very weirdly politically gamesmanship to go after a very specific demographic, African-American women.
But that's what they say. That's what Eli Gold says. We have to target.
And I just don't feel like this show needed to add in a political layer on top of it, even though I like Alan Cumming and Eli Gold and that portion. But we have so much else going on, and we don't even have his retrial yet, which at some point there will be a jury trial yet for him again, which you would think they would spend multiple episodes on. Just saying.
Well, the pastors, they're gonna be around for a while too.
That's fine.
So
I thought they were both likable, and I think they make decent, if not excellent, points. And the fact that the younger pastor goes toe to toe with Eli Gold and holds his own, bests him basically, I thought was an interesting flourish. But I don't think for a second that Peter really wants to change. I think he
oh,
needs to be forced into it.
well, but that's what he says to the pastor, right? He says, "Do you believe in Jesus?" And he's like, "No." Or, "Do you believe that Jesus died for your sins?" And he's like, "No." And he's like, "Do you want to know why?" And he's like, "No." And yet the guy still is like willing to yeah, it's and then Alicia
He said,
says,
"I
"Are
don't
you
know."
really
He
right?"
said, "I don't know." So there's at least a certain level of ambiguity where I don't know what that means, holds a lot of things, and where he
Sure.
feels like he has the ability to maybe work his way in.
Sure.
But he's not willing to give up the goods just because somebody says the nice things. He's not taking stuff under the table. There's no political gamesmanship that he's willing to do. The
Right.
pastor himself seems like he's above board, which is why he cannot be bribed, bullied, or pushed off.
Okay. Yeah.
So as far as that goes, that's fine. Character ranking, though, boy. Will is an interesting character. I love what he does with Anna Gasteyer in 16, but then his distraught nature and the ambiguity and his intentions and whatever else, he's fraying on me a little bit by the time we get done with 17.
Okay.
And yet Diane is raised in stature because we took her off the board for a couple of episodes recently where she's just not really that involved. And when she has been involved, it's either been supportive of Alicia or like she's just there as kind of an assistant character, or I guess she's now developing this relationship, which feels fun and somewhat fresh. So I think I would slightly move her ahead and say that Will got pushed down out of the 5 spot, out of the tied 5 spot.
Okay.
And I'm waiting to see where that ends up going yet.
Okay. Okay.
Carrie ruins a little bit of his stature. I know he's leaning into this newfound confidence, and they've completely rewritten how that character was supposed to go. 18 makes me question it a little bit, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move Carrie down to 6. And I'm going to move Diane up to 3. I'll keep Alicia at 4, and I'll put Will at 5.
Okay. Interesting. 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 So, uh-oh.
Although, I'll also throw this in there. If we got, especially since I have Gary Cole and Alan Cumming like high on this list, David Paymer's got to be at least like in the honorable mentions of this top 5 for me.
Okay, because he keeps coming back around. This is the third time we've seen him,
I think
right?
it's the 4th.
It might be the fourth. You're right. Yeah.
He's been the most recurring judge. He was on the first episode, and I think he's come back several more times after.
Okay, you're right. Yes. He is a fun one, for sure. Okay. Um any final thoughts on this series of episodes or anything?
We only
like that?
have 2 batches left.
I know. We have our next episode is actually our penultimate episode, and then it'll be 3 episodes again, and then our final episode of this season of First Watch Rewatch is only going to have 2 episodes that we cover. episodes 22
so the
and
next
23.
one we're covering 19, 20, and 21, and then we're covering 22 and 23. And then we'll do our cap off things that we do at the end of the last episode, choose our next one, that sort of stuff.
Right.
As we transition into a season 3.
So
we got about 2 weeks left. And this episode, as well as the last episode, so 6 and 7 of this season, are releasing at the same time. So while we did forget it on the last episode, I would be remiss if I let go of recommendations.
Oh, right. Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say I was continuing and very much enjoying Your Friends and Neighbors until the middle of episode 8, where they unnecessarily killed a dog. And then always talk to a lawyer before you start to do any sort of cover-up. Let alone the fact that you bury it in your own goddamn backyard when you're fighting with your neighbors, and they're the ones who just lost the dog. You literally are in the middle of a court proceeding with an attorney on speed dial who's a friend of yours. Call. Don't let your other friend who you've been feuding with for over a calendar year and have a very famous video of the two of you in a literal fist fight convince you to bury the damn thing in the backyard. I
don't know anything about what you're talking about, so I'm just like, okay,
but Jon Hamm is still very good.
Okay.
I am glad to say that Jon Hamm, despite what our mutual friend Andrew Corns thinks of him and his reputation around St. Louis, is still very good at TV.
What is his reputation around St. Louis?
I'll let you ask Andrew. It's apparently not very good.
All right. Whatever. I just don't give a shit about celebrities and the dumb shit that they do. So
I think he was somebody who got into the middle of a lot of hazing in his earlier or younger years.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've heard about that. Okay. Yeah, we're not allowed to make mistakes when we're younger. Got it. This is why I am so glad that there is no evidence of any of my crimes of my youth, because everything's been burned. There's literally no photographic or written evidence whatsoever. Okay, so I don't have anything else to recommend in terms of shows. We already talked about Suits last episode, which I just happened to stumble upon.
I think
that's pretty much it. Yeah, no, I don't have anything at all. Anything else you want to recommend?
Not at the moment. Unfortunately, I've been caught up with movies and watching 6 hours of The Good Wife this week.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was 6 hours of The Good Wife for me within the last 36 hours. So, yeah.
I think I started watching most of them on Friday so they'd be a little fresher to me. But
yeah,
I will admit 13, 14, and 15 for the last episode faded a little more quickly than 16, 17, and 18.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's hard to do these double episodes because we're covering six hours of television, and it's a lot to keep track of. So, as stated, next time...
we did put out at the beginning of episode 6 that we were considering things for, let's say, season 3. Just for my own sake here, because we only have 2 weeks remaining. Did you have any sort of requests or thoughts about what you'd like to do, since we're usually switching up?
Oh, right. So it'll be your turn to lead next time. So it needs to be something...
Play the Kalinda role where, I'm more aloof and dominatrix-like. Yes.
Right. So I'm trying to think about, like, it took so long to feel like this show was worth it. But again, that's part of, like, the rewatch. I really loved this show, and it was only at this point where we are right now in this season that it started getting good for me. And then So I guess I feel guilt. I'll just be honest. I feel guilty about choosing this one because it took so long. But then,
No, I
would
mean,
it be But my other thought is, would it be an interesting podcast if it was just like you loved
right,
100% of everything?
right.
Um. So I'm grappling with that a little bit, and then I'm thinking about the feeling of talking about the stuff that we talked about on the West Wing. Now you've already talked about the difference between it being like prestige television and this being just like a regular like lower tier network show, and that's fine. But it also gives credence to like what you and I are specifically interested in. And so even the ability or the opportunity, I guess, for us to talk about politics, different legislation, those types of things that we are interested in that I don't necessarily get to talk about on a regular basis. I'm kind of like, I want to get back into something like that. But then I was like, maybe we should try, I don't know. So maybe we need to try a different genre entirely. And because one of the shows that you recommended was Dexter, and I know that that's going to be slightly different. So I don't know. I don't know if it should be like we go off in a completely new direction or try to revisit the legal system or political system or whatever. I have to remember what we had said were like the top choices. I can't remember now. My list is in the other room.
But you don't necessarily have like any one specific.
No, I trust. Well, the whole point. I mean, the whole thing is I trust the TV recommendations that you give me, and so I think that that's. I trust you. I suppose I wouldn't trust me with recommendations at this point. Maybe I'm thinking we should do Shogun because that way I could just do it. And yeah. But
well, that would be different.
It would be different. So I guess I'm
but then
throwing
we
that
have
out
no
there.
chance of that becoming a second season, so it'd basically be a one-off. Because we would have both seen it in real time then, so unless I watch season 2 and you're just completely late to the game, it's a one season thing. But that's interesting, you know.
I mean, sure.
Huh?
And I mean, the only show that I like must watch live at this point is Severance. I wouldn't be able to not handle watching that. So we could do, if you were interested, we could do Shogun, and then I could just wait to watch the next one. But
okay.
Anyway, but what would be so bad about there being a one-off, right? There's something to be said about the format of a
it would be different.
Show, right? That's like a limited series, right?
Uh-huh.
It makes me wish that I hadn't seen like Ripley, for example, because that would be a super fun one to do. But
I haven't seen it.
You haven't?
No.
Oh, we'll add that to the possible list of.
You'll have to keep your own list.
I am saying it out loud so that I can keep my own list.
But I have like 50 deep here, so.
Yeah. For things that I haven't seen, because there's more that you have seen that I have seen. But I need to write this down immediately. I just watched something with Andrew Scott in it. Oh, because Dad and I watched Blue Moon the other day.
Oh.
And
okay.
Andrew Scott is in it, and Ethan Hawke is in it. And I had posted on Instagram, like, I'm watching my dad fall in love with Ethan Hawke right now. It was fun. But of course, we had a whole bunch of background information on Lorenz Hart.
That must be a dad thing, because my dad did the same thing.
It might be yeah, I don't know. That's all music and stuff that my dad knows, that I know. Literally every song that they played in the background, I knew. It was fun, and we watched it because Kieran had recommended it. So thank you, Kieran, for the recommendation. But anyway, Andrew Scott is in it. He does a great job playing Richard Rogers, and so yeah, watching Ripley would be super fun. I think I was watching it because Andrew recommended it, and I went off on a tangent. And I think I thought you had recommended it, but it was because Andrew recommended it. Anyway, okay, it's good. We should watch it. It's good. Like it. You would like it, I think. Maybe?
I don't know.
We'll have to see. All right, so we are going to wrap it up. So, again, next episode, we are covering 1918 and 21. This will be our second to last episode for this season of First Watch Rewatch. We only have 5 episodes left, as we have said. So lots of stuff going on right around the corner.
Okay.
You don't have anything else to say then, because you've said it all. Perfect. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Adjourned.